shot 50% from three. She was 2 of 4. She made all of her free throws. She had 6 rebounds plus 2 assists. AZ Fudd, 24 points, 9 of 15 from the field. She too also shot 50% from three. Damn! My goodness. Guys, I ain't even trying to be funny, but the Knicks might be the only thing going for the New York fans, bro. I know a lot of people in New York watch the channel. Oh, I'm not trying.
The New York Liberty dropped another game, this time falling to the Dallas Wings in a result that wasn't even close. The final score sat at 91-76, and the performance left a lot to be desired. What made the defeat sting even more was the showing from Paige Buchers and Azzi Fudd, who combined for 48 points and both shot 50% from beyond the arc. Buchers finished with 24 points, going 7 of 13 from the field, with 6 rebounds and 2 assists. Fudd matched her with 24 points of her own, knocking down 9 of 15 attempts. The two were simply unstoppable, and the Liberty had no real answer for either of them all night. On the Liberty side, Satou VISIBLY put up 20 points. Breanna Stewart and Jonquel Jones each added 14. But Sabrina Ionescu managed just 11 points on 2 of 5 shooting from 3, though she did contribute 7 assists and nearly posted a double-double. Stewart grabbed 11 rebounds to complete her double-double, but the overall effort was not enough to keep pace with what Dallas was doing offensively.
I'm not trying to poke fun at y'all squad, but my goodness, bro. My goodness, 91-76 was the damn final of the game. Breanna Stewart had 14 points. Satou VISIBLY had 20. Jonquel Jones had 14. Sabrina only had 11, man. Sabrina was 2 of 5 from 3, bro. Now, she did have 7 assists. She down there got a double-double. But Breanna Stewart did have 11.
Both Ionescu and VISIBLY appeared visibly frustrated at the post-game press conference, their body language and expressions making clear how they felt about the outcome. When asked about the team's perimeter defense and the difficulty in getting over screens, Ionescu pointed to transition defense as the main issue, noting that Dallas is one of the best three-point shooting teams in the league and that the Liberty failed to locate shooters quickly enough. She acknowledged the game got away from them in the second half after a solid opening stretch and credited Dallas's adjustments at halftime for disrupting the Liberty's offensive flow. Ionescu also spoke about the offensive shift between halves, explaining that the team thrives when it can push the pace, and once stops stopped coming, the entire rhythm broke down. Getting the ball out of the net repeatedly slowed everything, and Dallas became more physical and controlling as the game wore on. Her assessment was that the team needs to make in-game adjustments faster rather than waiting for halftime to respond to what opposing defenses are taking away. Coach Chris Coclanes touched on the urgency problem that has been showing up repeatedly. He acknowledged the team has the talent and the intelligence to compete, but pointed to an inconsistency in maintaining fight and focus when opponents go on runs.
Rebound, so she did get a double-double, but that just was not enough, bro. The couple strikes again. Now, both of these, Sabrina Ionescu and Satou VISIBLY is at the podium looking pissed off. They look like, bro, like, I seen this, and I was all like, damn, bro, I gotta go make a video about it. Look at their face, bro.
I guess if you can just explain, what were your...
His belief is that the group will figure it out, but admitted the third quarter in this particular game was damaging, and that transition defense and smart offensive decision-making need to improve before they can consistently win games. Stewart was candid in her own assessment, acknowledging that she personally could be more aggressive defensively, and suggesting that one player stepping up and getting into opponents could create a domino effect across the roster. She praised Fudd directly, calling her shot release quick and lethal, and noting that the league is only beginning to understand how complete a player she is beyond just perimeter shooting. The conversation around the Liberty's defensive breakdowns also raised questions about trust and communication, specifically regarding zone rotations and offensive rebounding positioning. Stewart admitted, "The zone is still a work in progress, and that better communication is needed for it to function properly under pressure. There is also a broader question hanging over the franchise. Sandy Brondello was let go the previous year, a move that generated significant discussion at the time. With the Liberty now looking worse than they did during their playoff run under her leadership, and with Sabely's addition not yet producing the expected results, that decision is being revisited."
Can just explain, what were your feelings, or how satisfied or how not satisfied were you with the team's perimeter defense and just people going over screens?
Yeah, I thought we got hurt in transition. We know going into the game, this is going to be one of the best three-point shooting teams of the W. Yeah, it's just locating shooters. Obviously, Arika got hot in the first half. Fudd found the rhythm. But yeah, it's just a sense of urgency, especially like this is what they do.
The front office faces real scrutiny as the losses pile up while the team they assembled continues to underperform relative to expectations. Dallas, meanwhile, looks like they may have made one of the better draft decisions in recent memory with Fudd, whose impact is growing harder to ignore with each passing game. Tiffany Hayes has since responded to the controversy, not by addressing it directly, but in a way that has made the situation considerably worse. To understand the full picture, some background is necessary. The WNBA's presence on Threads did not happen by accident. For a long time, the league existed as a relatively closed online community where players and fans maintained close, ongoing digital relationships without much outside scrutiny. As viewership grew and more eyes turned toward the league, it became apparent that some of the fan accounts these players were regularly engaging with held deeply troubling views. The players, for their part, had simply seen them as supporters. The profile pictures and usernames gave no indication of anything else.
Do best is get out in transition, and they found some open shots, and then you know what happens. You try to climb back in the game, and then you get the bank shots. You get that kind of stuff. So overall, it's just it's gonna be one of those things where we just got to continue to keep getting better and understand like tonight is one team and tomorrow is going to be a whole different game. And I thought we did a good job opening up in the first half and playing our brand, and then in the second half it got away from us, and the three-point line killed us.
When outside observers started looking more carefully, the players migrated to Threads in an attempt to preserve those fans' communities away from the larger spotlight. That context matters because it explains how a player can end up responding warmly to someone they do not actually know. In the day following the on-court confrontation between Hayes and Caitlin Clark, which, for what it is worth, was a competitive game with genuine basketball tension and nothing more sinister than that, a wave of threatening content began appearing online directed at Clark. Calls for teams to deploy players, specifically to injure her, aggressive language, This should be done to her. This kind of content appears on both sides of most sports rivalries, and it is not unique to this situation. When other players have hard fouls on Clark, similar language appears in the other direction. None of that is new or surprising.
Yeah, the three-point line killed us.
No, Paige and AZ killed you. They had a combined 48 points in this game. Both of them shot 50% from three. Now, we know Sandy Bordello was fired last year. That made headlines, bro. I just wonder, what the hell is the New York Liberty front office thinking right now? Because Sandy Bordello is chilling in Canada.
What crossed into different territory was a specific comment. One referencing relatives the poster claimed not to speak about openly, who could be directed to confront Clark on request. And Hayes responding to it with "that's real," alongside a like on the post. Whether Hayes processed the full weight of what she was engaging with is an open question. The most charitable reading is that she was swept up in fan loyalty after a tense game and was not carefully reviewing the content of every reply. That is a reasonable assumption and probably the accurate one, but reasonable assumptions about intent do not eliminate the real-world consequences of the action. Clark has a documented history of being stalked. A person was arrested after tracking her to her apartment building. Meet and greet events have been canceled on multiple occasions after it was discovered that individuals who had been flagging concerned behavior online had purchased tickets specifically to attend.
Y'all losing. Y'all look worse than y'all did in the playoffs last year. And then y'all got Satou VISIBLY. I'm starting to think it was an error and a big mistake to fire Sandy Bordello. This is proof. This is proof.
And another one for you, Chris. I'm just curious why or what the reason was behind playing melee in some more of those high-stakes situations.
This is not hypothetical risk. It is a pattern that has already materialized in concrete ways. And when that pattern exists around a specific person, the bar for what constitutes responsible online behavior from other public figures connected to her, even adversarially, has to be higher. The argument is not that Hayes wanted anything harmful to happen to Clark. Almost no reasonable person believes that the argument is about probability at scale. If a post with threatening content is seen by tens of thousands of people, and a small fraction of those people have already demonstrated extremist tendencies in connection with Clark, and a professional athlete publicly validates that post, the math produces a non-zero risk of something going wrong. The chance is small.
And also, Rebecca Allen was a DNP tonight. So what was sort of the idea of activating her as well?
Yeah, I mean, your question is why would Maley play? Is that your question?
It's what was the reason for Maley playing instead of Rebecca Allen?
Well, we believe in all of our players, and she can get us extra possessions on the offensive glass and a bigger body to throw on some of the perimeter players. And Rebecca Allen's a really good player. She's going to be a big part of this.
But it is not zero, and with someone who has already been physically followed to her home. Not zero is not a comfortable place to stand. What made everything worse was what happened next. Rather than quietly removing the post, which would have required no public statement, no apology, no acknowledgement of wrongdoing, Hayes left it up. She then moved on publicly as though nothing had happened, posting casually about unrelated topics, while the situation continued to generate attention. That choice to keep the content visible, to essentially shrug at the concern being raised, is what shifted the conversation from a mistake to something more deliberate looking. There is a human decency argument here that sits entirely apart from any question of league policy or suspension thresholds.
Some awful people. I'm not going to go into more detail about that, but let's just say some really, really bad people. But at the time, they were like, the only thing they saw was these people are fans. They just saw the online profiles, didn't really care. And obviously, people started doing digging. So what ended up happening? The players moved to threads. They moved to threads so that they could realistically keep these parasocial relationships going. And in the day that proceeded? Or did they?
Even if the post was not going to lead to anything, even if every person who saw the threatening comment was joking, the act of leaving it up, of not simply removing it, given everything known about Clark's security situation, reflects a striking lack of consideration for another person's safety. It costs nothing to take a post down. The refusal to do so is its own kind of statement. On the league side, a suspension remains the appropriate response, regardless of how the conversation has evolved. A precedent needs to exist that players cannot engage with fan content threatening other players. Not even in jest, not even accidentally.
Proceeded? Or did they post? Proceeded is not the right word. And did they post Caitlin Clark versus Tip Hayes battle? Which was, I'm going to say it was a battle. And I enjoyed it on the day. I was looking forward to the game when they matched up again because it was all in good fun. It was all good basketball. Tip Hayes goes and responds, like people were threatening violence against Caitlin, threatening crazy things.
Other leagues have enforced this kind of standard. The NBA equivalent of this scenario would not be debated. It would be acted upon swiftly. The fact that the WNBA has not yet moved suggests either that the league is slow to respond or that it does not view the safety concern as a genuine priority. Neither explanation reflects well on the institution. The parasocial dynamics that have developed between WNBA players and their fan bases are the underlying
response. Like people were threatening violence against Caitlin, threatening crazy things, saying teams should basically deploy goons to injure her. Like stuff like that was being said. But like, look, at the same time, that type of stuff is no different than when Kennedy Carter goes and gets Caitlin Clark, and Caitlin Clark, people online were saying, we have Caitlin Clark that the Fever need a goon to go beat up people. Like it is what it is. It is what it is. Like that's no different than that. However,
that belief in someone without stable judgment can translate into behavior that no one intended and no one wanted. This incident may not be the one that produces a serious outcome, but the conditions that created it will still be there the next time. Clark is not the only player dealing with this. Multiple NBA players have stalkers. The problem is not unique to her, but she is the most visible player in the league right now, which means the volume of extreme behavior directed at her is proportionally higher.
That whole situation is nothing really. It just becomes Twitter nonsense. She randomly says, "Lol, I fuck with y'all." And you can pretend at this stage that she only saw the people supporting her. There were a whole bunch of other things about her not crashing out. And the only thing further than what she did would have been essentially punching Caitlin. And her being like basically took everything. Her implying that she, had to restrain herself from starting a fight with Caitlin. But it is what it is. None of that's important. But this here. Listen, I got some cousins we don't speak about that will ride at dawn.
The league has a responsibility to all of its players, and the minimum response to this particular situation, one post taken down, may be a brief acknowledgement that it was not appropriate, did not happen. Instead, the post stayed up. The person who posted it moved on, and the people raising legitimate safety concerns found themselves blocked. That last part is worth noting on its own. Rather than engage with the criticism or quietly step back from the situation, the response was to search for anyone discussing the matter and remove them from visibility. That is not the behavior of someone who made an honest mistake and is navigating the fallout. That is the behavior of someone who does not believe they did anything worth reconsidering. That posture, more than the original post, is the reason the situation has landed where it has.
Or right at dawn upon my request, just let me know. That, I don't know, that sounds like a threat. And she responds by liking the comment and says, that's real. So, right now, if you don't know how serious this whole situation, basically, we all know what the way the world is right now. There are crazy people everywhere. Social media has emboldened crazy people, especially now that being anti Caitlin Clark. You've seen it, like especially if you look on things like TikTok and Threads. People believe that they are allies. I don't know who, by hating Caitlin Clark. There are people that making their whole personality hating Caitlin Clark. They believe that it makes them some form of allies. Allies to who? Allies for what? I don't know. But I use the word ally because it's the best way of describing it. So, and again, these people are unhinged on every side. We all know, especially over the Atlantic, where most people watching over the Atlantic, where most people watching this live. There are people extremists on every side, but people are brainwashed. People are brainwashed, and in this scenario, the likelihood of this is that this is a joke, and that this is laughing at a joke. The problem is, Tip Hayes does not know who this person is. Tip Hayes does not know who this person is. There is a slight chance this is a threat. And even on the off chance this is a threat, if you are any way decent, you don't respond. You don't respond. Especially when it's for a player who on multiple occasions, like has to walk around with personal security. On multiple occasions, like she's had to stop meet and greets because they have found out some of her online stalkers have bought tickets to her meet and greets. And this has nothing to do with the stalker situation where a stalker pulled up in her apartment building and had to be was arrested. While the media